In our time, current history is reducible to computing. Everything that is going on is ultimately affected more by computing than any other new thing. This is Retraice, segment number 22, Wednesday, October 19th, just turned Wednesday, 12:19 in the morning. Retraice is about what's going on out there, and what's going on out there is computing. We gave a list of 11. It's now much longer than 11, but not much longer, but a list of hypotheses, and I know I should have called them guesses. It's too late now. I've committed, but they are guesses, educated, testable guesses, hypotheses about what's going on out there. We gave 11 of them previously. Segment whatever. Search for the hypotheses in brief on the blog. The noun phrase form of them is they're about space, technology, death, China, civil war in the United States, the environment, betterment, intelligence, darkness, wealth, and wild cards. That's 11 things, 11 hypotheses. The expanded form is available on our website. I'll talk about it more later. That's a lot to think about. That list goes to 11. Does anybody still remember that? I mean, is that too old a reference? It goes to 11. But we're human beings, and this is a podcast, and this is a business, and this podcast is meant to be good for something, and working with a list of 11 things is difficult, and not difficult in a way that, we should do difficult things that are worth doing. No, it's difficult in a way that, like, come on, man, I need a cheat sheet. I need a way to, these things need to be simplified and integrated. The 11 hypotheses, they're now like, I mean, if you include the other things, of course I took them out of my notes. Of course, I had them right here and I took them out to declutter. It doesn't matter. I would just be, I wouldn't do them justice. So how do you simplify? Well, you simplify the hypotheses by shortening them to short statements, as I did from the original statements, and then eventually just to nouns or noun phrases as sort of placeholders. None of them are surprising. I mean, none of the space, technology, death, China, civil war, environment, betterment, intelligence, darkness, wealth, and wild cards. There's nothing. None of they're not novel. I think this thing is going on. Pretty cool, huh? That I thought of that. There's none of that. It's all just sort of, most of it seems kind of straightforward. It wasn't an attempt at originality. It was an attempt to grapple with reality in a way that, I don't know. I don't see other people offering a way to do this. Okay. So, but how do we need to simplify it further? 11 hypotheses, and stop calling them hypotheses. I got to call them guesses, but I don't know. I sound stupid saying hypotheses over and over again, but that's how I think about them. Because guesses don't sound as serious. Although we've talked about, who was the guy? I cited him, it was a long time ago. Guessing and intelligence are intimately related, if not definitionally related. A year ago I would have remembered his name, but now I only remember the idea. But it's in Oxford Mind, and I cited it, and I'll cite it in the notes. Guessing and intelligence. But we're using the term hypotheses. Let's simplify it. The thing that we came up with is encompassed by, or say captured by, the idea of computer control. Let me read some things here. I'm going to give you 3 things. Computing is powerful, and really in no other way than just labor saving. I mean, it's powerful in other ways, but the easiest way to think about the power of computing is how much work gets done because computers exist, that if we could run some impossible experiment and say all the things that computers have done since they were invented in the 40s, or whenever you want to define, pick the first computer you decide. It's kind of hazy back then. all that work has to be done now by human beings. How long would it take? That's a lot of labor. A lot of labor. Not just doing the work, but also like the extra checking, because humans are fallible in a way that computing machines are not. Okay, so computing is powerful. Statement number 2, computing is pervasive because of it's powerful. I mean, if you suddenly had an army of computers, computers used to be what we called people who did, arithmetic for a living. I think mostly in business and for scientific purposes. If we had an army of human computers suddenly out of nowhere, we'd have a powerful army. That's powerful, right? Okay, so computing is pervasive because we took this army and invaded everything with it. And then finally, anything that... So now let's talk about current history, which is what Retraice is trying to be about. What's going on out there? Current history. Anything that could be current history. Anything that could be in that group, in the Venn oval of current history, is strongly affected by the powerful, pervasive thing that we call computing. Okay, nothing very controversial about all that, but what it does is it gives us an excuse to do what we want to do for another reason, an ulterior motive, and that is to simplify and reduce the hypotheses to something that's easier to think about, or things that are easier to think about. We need the hypotheses to be comprehensible and therefore simplified and integrated. It's just like algebra. It's just, so much of algebra is just changing the way you express a mathematical statement or a mathematical expression or condition or situation so that it's easier to handle. It's simplification, rearrangement, expression and re-expression. We need to do that with the hypotheses. We're going to do it with this hypothesis number 12. I started out making it hypothesis number 0. It's kind of computer sciencey, and it kind of like, it's the most fundamental. It's at the bottom. But then I started, I can't get into this. Then I started thinking about God and religion, and it's like, well, if computer control is 0, God and religion can't be 12, right? So it's got to be like -1, and then that just gets really hard to maintain in my text documents in terms of sorting and whatnot. And like if you start I'm not gonna. Never mind. Okay, if you have a file in Linux, Unix environments that starts with a dash, like -1, then you have to make sure that you communicate that correctly on the command line, and you have to use a little trick, otherwise it's interpreted as a switch. Never mind. I shouldn't even say that stuff. Okay. So all of the 11 hypotheses are undergirded by computing. If you think about what's happening with space, tech, death, China, civil war, environment, betterment, intelligence, darkness, wealth, and wildcards, the stuff that the reason they are the way that they are, those things happening in the world in our time is because of the coming together of what we were before, what was happening in the world, what we were, and what was happening in the world before computing, and then computing coming in, creating power where there wasn't any, and then pervading. So let's talk about the this long conditional that we constructed to try to be this hypothesis number 12 about computer control. This is the long form. Again, I'm not going to unpack it. You can play with it if you want. It's just, we got to start somewhere. Here we go. Computers, which are chain reaction controllers and which make AI handling of information possible and which are inherently vulnerable to hacking, are causing some humans to know others better than they know themselves, i.e. know those others better than those others know themselves, and thereby to control them. Though computer-controlled machinery could take control, if the motivation to control, which humans have, were to occur, naturally or by design, in the chain reactions. Got to leave that there. We can associate this, because it's just too much. This podcast will be an hour long if we unpack that completely. We can associate this this broad topic with people like Samuel Butler, Darwin Among the Machines, the original essay, George Dyson, the book, and his other two books that sort of, including Analogia, which, follow up on this. And then Retraice number 7 and 8, Re7 and 8, we talked about it. Nick Bostrom, Stuart Russell, Human Compatible, and on, and Yudkowsky, and on, okay? These are the people who are doing the leading thinking on this. I'm not going to rehash all that thinking. They say it better. They write it and say it better than I could. I will invoke what I've gathered from them, but not try to reproduce it. Okay. That's it. Computer control. It has been introduced. This is all going somewhere, okay? I know it's a lot to follow. This is the 22nd segment of Retraice. How the heck are you even supposed to keep up with what the content of this podcast is and blah, blah, blah? Don't worry. It's coming. It's going to get way easier. The things you don't want to be saying to your podcast audience, an audience of 0, I'm pretty sure at this point, include, don't worry, listening to this is going to get easier. Sorry, folks. This is the realness. Amendments and corrections. I do have a couple, but I'm not going to do them right now for Re17 and Re18 because I got to go make sure I know what the heck I wrote here. References from this segment will be in the show notes. The full PDF notes will be at retraice.com, retraice.com. This is Retraice segment number 22, and let's say we'll see you again around midnight. Signing off.